I'm in a very good mood today. Um, yeah, my girlfriend got this for me, and yeah, I now have a mic. So yeah, let's talk. I haven't been live in a very long time, and I should have announced that I'm going live. But yeah, it's whatever. I guess people will just come along around the way. There's someone who's here. Please just tell me if this mic is working, or is it the same when I do this? Hello, 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 hello. Yeah. Okay, it's whatever. But yeah, today I'm supposed to talk mainly about the final exams preparation, but as much as I can give study tips on how to prepare for your finals, like how you should study, what you should use to study, there is really so much that goes into it, and the list is what do they say? The list is endless or whatever. So there are so many things that go into there are so many things that go into the studying. And I feel like as much as I can give you the study tips, you also need to look at some of your the things in your daily routine. We're all unique, and what works for me, might not work for you. So I feel like mainly what I'm just trying to do is guide you into you creating your own study routine, in a sense. Study routine, study timetable, study plan, study, I don't know, study whatever. But yeah, these final exams are gonna be very hectic. And there's like, I think most people are starting next week or something. And yeah, and so on. And it's approaching. And I don't want to start by saying you should plan or have a study plan. I think like that's something you should be having already. So I'm just gonna start by clearing out some of the obvious things you should be having. Number one is the study plan. You should be having your study plan ready, and that should be the last thing we're talking about. Or have a study plan, have something that you're gonna follow. But obviously, with the study plan, that's where I need to get deep into. Those are some of the things I want to talk about. Hore. What if you are not able to follow that study plan? Yes, you can have the study plan, but I have it, it's here, but am I following it? That's a different chat. So I feel like it's very important to talk about the what if every single time someone gives you study tips. Ask them, or what if this happens? What if this doesn't happen? Or what if I come across, you're telling me to do past papers, I'm doing the past papers, Mara, it's not adding up. Like, I just get demotivated when I just start, or every single question that I do, I get it wrong. Those are some of the things that go into the tips. That person told you to do past papers and it's gonna work. You tried it, and now when you try it, it's like, bruh, I don't know now what's supposed to happen from here. So there's definitely a lot that goes into it. Hey Keith, thank you for joining, man. There's definitely a lot that goes into the study tips. And I really feel like we shouldn't just give, or like what most people, I'm sometimes part of the most people when I'm like not in the mood for talking. But I feel like it shouldn't be a thing where I give you a whole list of study tips. They'll tell you have a plan, eat healthy, sleep well, barging. Like, there's this list of productive things that you should do, but I feel like that list is accompanied by a whole lot more factors behind it. Like I said, the what if part of it. If you're asking me to sleep early, I mean sleep 8 hours. What if I sleep now at 10 and then 12 or got 2, I'm already awake? Then what happens? You said I should sleep 8 hours. I tried sleeping at 10, I woke up now at 2 a.m. I don't have sleep. Then what? Well, that's just a quick example on some of the things that go into the what if part of studying. And I feel like most of the time we don't really get advised on this. So it's a thing you need to look at yourself. You need to be the person to know what are some of the things that I struggle with. I struggle with TikTok. I scroll on TikTok like nobody's business. Waiting, I convince myself or I'm learning some things on TikTok, but in reality, there's nothing learningable there. There's nothing that you actually learn in a sense. Or so I just want to talk mainly about the preparation. Hore, it's very important. Or as much as you can have a study plan, reevaluate yourself. What are some of the things that am I speaking too loud? I think I'm speaking too loud because this mic is right here. Okay, let's keep it low. If reevaluate yourself, your daily habits, the things that you do on a daily basis. You should be the person to know, Hore, I struggle with this. I have kids at home. They make noise on a daily basis. So you telling me, Hore, I should study in the morning. In the morning, that's when they are awake. That's when there's all the shenanigans. There's a lot happening. And I can just give examples the entire day. I can't finish the examples, right? So I'm just here mainly to help you understand yourself and your habits, because me giving you the study tips is like the top part of it. There's a lot that goes under that top. You get what I'm saying? Like there's just a lot that goes into the studying or whatever, the study habits and all. So it's very important, number one, like I said, to evaluate yourself, your daily routine from if you're still going to school, from the moment you get back from school, what is the first thing that you do? I'm gonna guess it for you. It's your phone. The first thing that you check if anyone has texted you. You check your TikTok. What's the latest? What's trending? Who is naked? Who is pregnant? Or well, that's the first thing that you do. Maybe you check your phone. What's the second thing you do? You sleep. So as much as I can say, you need to have a daily routine. If I advise you to have a daily routine, the first thing that you should start doing is understanding who first right now, what am I currently doing on a daily basis? Because it's not like you don't have a daily routine. You have a daily routine, just that you don't notice, or oh, this is actually what I do every single day. Every single day when I come back from school, the first thing I do is open my WhatsApp. That's a routine. That's something that you're already doing on a daily basis. So me telling you to have a daily routine starts with you understanding yourself for yo, what am I doing every single day? What do I do when I come back from school? What do I do first thing in the morning? What do I do later at night before I start studying? Those small things that you do right before studying, those things form part of your routine. So if I'm to advise you to have a study timetable or a study routine, it's less of me saying start afresh with this, but more of me saying remove this, stop doing this, stop watching picking up your phone as soon as you wake up, stop doing this, start exercising, maybe start doing this. Or it's I don't want you to be at a point whereby you are starting everything afresh, because when you start the entire process afresh and like from the beginning, that's when it gets to that point whereby it's so overwhelming, and by the second day you give up on your routine. First day, yeah, you're motivated. I'm going to change now. My final exams are here. One day goes by, 2 days go by, you start feeling tired. Third day, you've completely forgotten or you have a study routine or whatever. So it's very easy to even forget about that thing. But the most important thing is identifying your habits now. If you are not sure, maybe it's not that easy to think about those things from the top of your head, but at the same time, just try and really, what day is it tomorrow? Tomorrow is a Wednesday. Just look at what you do. Look at what you do from the moment you wake up. If the first thing that you do is pick up your phone. I'm not saying stop. For now, just look at it or okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm picking up my phone. I'm opening TikTok and I'm there for like two. Okay, you're going to school, so it's different. But maybe the first thing you do still is to check your phone. After school, the first thing you do is check your phone to see who has texted you or whatever. And at least for a day, write down or note down in your head all those things. Or this is what I'm doing. At 10, from 10, I mean, let's say maybe from 4 p.m. until 5, most of the time, maybe I'm sleeping, I'm taking a nap, and then I wake up. Then I watch TikTok for an hour, and then after that, I get motivated. That's when I start studying. And then after having that routine that you are used to, then the next day, maybe on Thursday, that's when you're going to try and remove this. From when you're removing, maybe watching the TikTok for an hour, put something else for an hour. Don't put more studying for now. Like, I feel like one thing that most people miss, I don't know, a misconception, I don't know what to call it, but what most people do is that every start a study routine, the first thing they try to do is fill that study routine with studying. Whereas the previous day you were only studying for 2 hours. And then when you're trying to tell me from now on you're going to study 10 hours in a day, just like that, you're gonna change. Obviously, you're gonna feel what's that word again? You're gonna not break down, man. I forgot the word. There's this word that they use. I feel something, man. It's not breakdown. Yeah, I forgot the word, but you're gonna feel like that. What's that word? It's fine. You're gonna feel like that, and it's not gonna bent out is what I was looking for. And you guys are not telling me, but yeah, you're gonna feel bent out very quickly. And that's something you don't want. You don't want to go from a step whereby you have been someone who has been procrastinating this entire, let's say the entire year, actually. You've been procrastinating, you've been not studying how you want to study. And then now, all of a sudden, just because Ofentse talked to you and motivated you, you want to be someone who now studies for 10 hours plus. That's definitely not gonna happen. It's gonna happen maybe for a day. Mara go for 5 days. It's gonna be something that will be out of your blood in a few days. So the first part of this live, for those who have missed it, the first part of that live of this live, I'm just talking on how you should reevaluate yourself, the things that you do on a daily basis. Don't just come to me and say, how do you study? How do I become a better whatever? Mm, how do I how do I spend less time on my phone? Or like all those things that people ask you, how do I become like you? Someone asked me, or how do I become like you? I'm like, "Mfana wam, I go through so many things right before I study. You don't want to be like me to start with." Or so you are you and you are unique. Don't try and take whatever someone else is doing. Hence, yeah, I was actually talking about this now, Loazi. The fact that I didn't post about this. Thing is, if I had posted, I just feel like most people were not gonna see it. And I wanted to cook now. Like I felt this burning whatever. I was like, let me cook before final exams. Cause also, what date is it? Tuesday. This weekend, like my video on the final exams thingy, I'll release the video during the weekend, or like the proper video. So yeah, even if you miss the live, most of the things in the live are gonna be in that video. But in this live, it's better because it's me and you can ask questions or whatever. But yeah, I was just talking on how, yo, what was I saying? Yo, okay, I think I was talking about reevaluating yourself, but there was a certain point I was touching on. I completely forgot. But yeah, that's about it when it comes to that. Reevaluate yourself, see what you do on a daily basis. And as much as we could, oh, I was talking about the people who ask me, how do I study? Don't ask me, or how do you study? Rather, ask me, okay, I actually don't know what you should ask me. but do not wish to be like someone else. You are supposed to be the person who should build yourself from scratch. The way that that person became, I don't know, the top achiever of the class is not gonna be the same way you are gonna climb up the ladder. So you have your own unique ladder and you have to build it up on your own. It's like using someone else's notes to study. That's something I've never recommended, and I don't think I'll ever recommend. You take someone's handwritten notes and say, borrow me your notes. Let me look at this and this. Don't do that. That person, obviously, maybe you might get what you're looking for, but it's better to just write your own things. Or it's better to write your own story on how you got better in the exams. It's better to just become you. You are unique, and now you're trying to copy someone else's study habits. Yes, their habits are productive, but what if you could come up with your own study habits that are gonna become productive for you, and in a few, maybe a few years or a few months, you are gonna be the one who's telling someone, or this is how I did it. You should be someone who is telling their own story. Or this is how I did it. Now, when you're telling your own story, or I got I don't know, I passed very well with good marks because I was using the same study tips as Ofentse. That's like okay, but what do you think? You know, so I just want to be the person to instill more of that motivation or mindset inside of you. As much as I can give you all the tips, I feel like you should also do something on your own. Hence, I'm saying reevaluate yourself. I can give you everything, or start by doing this in the morning, then do this. But that's what worked for me. You get what I'm saying? That's my routine. And now when I'm giving it to you, I'm like, well, so yeah, I encourage more of that. If you're struggling, yes, you can ask questions and talk. You can ask me questions here, what you struggle with, and I will give you basically an approach in order for you to realize your problem, and not really a solution to your problem. You get what I'm saying? You should be the person to find the solution to your problem. So that's basically something I know I intended with this life. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, what else did I want to talk about? I wanted to talk about phone. I wanted to talk about this device that you're on. And someone texted me, when was it? A while ago. And they asked me, or it wasn't really a question. Okay, yeah, it was a question. They were like, I'm someone who struggles so much with like I have my goals are like on my wall. I have all my, I don't know, I have everything that I want. It's there on my wall. But oh damn, my phone is low. I'm just gonna remove the mic and charge it. But that person was basically talking about how they have all these goals and they are so motivated, but the only thing that's staying in their way is this thing, the phone. You see, so the phone, and I was like, when I asked them, let me try and do this. Sorry. Um, yeah. When I tried to talk to them, I was like, what is it on your phone that you're always on? Because don't tell me you're on your phone. So on your phone, what is it that you're on? And then that's when they were like, it's TikTok. And then I'm just like, bruh, you're asking me, or why, how do I spend less time on my phone? Yet on your phone, if we go to your screen time, the thing that you spend most of your time on is TikTok. So baringa Zulu, ubuzi basi baliwe. The bus is there and it's baliwed. So do what the bus is saying and remove that app. Or if you can't, I don't know. But honestly, I feel like during this period of time, I don't know what excuse you have or whatever, man. I don't know what excuse you have for keeping an app that has always been a distraction Obviously there are those small pieces of information that you learn from TikTok, from Instagram Reels. Instagram Reels, you don't even learn anything. It's mostly just jokes. But with TikTok, maybe one or two videos you come across someone who gives you study tips or something. But I feel like that's really just 2% of the app. 90% of, okay, not 90. What's my math saying now? I said 2%. So 98%. 98% you're literally just you're scrolling through the videos, reading the comments. That's mainly what you're doing on TikTok. So don't come here and tell me you're learning a lot from an app that takes more than half of your day. And if I ask you, Hore, today you were on TikTok, if I ask you what is one thing that you learned today on TikTok that's gonna help you in your finals? Because now you just came right from TikTok and you come to me and say, how do I prepare for my finals? I talk to you and then you go right back to the thing that you were complaining about and saying it's affecting you. Make it make sense. Well, so really, man, like when it comes to phone addiction, it's really a thing of what is inside of your phone, and that's a unique question for each individual. That's you have your own answer. Don't tell me you struggle with phone addiction. You know the thing, and if you remove that thing from your phone, you're gonna uninstall it. When you reinstall it, tle bona le bothata. You will be the problem now, because why are you actually reinstalling something that you know or is gonna cost you your final exams, your report, something that you're gonna carry your entire life over an app? One fit. So with that one, I literally have one sentence, and it's just the fact that what is it on your phone? And that's it. It's not even a sentence, it's a question. But you get my point. Don't tell me about phone addiction. There's no such thing as phone addiction, rather, app addiction. If you say phone addiction, are you addicted to your camera? Are you addicted to making calls? Like, are you addicted to the calendar or something? Like, make it make sense. So you're addicted to TikTok, and that's the harsh truth. And you're not learning anything from TikTok, and you're not getting anything that's gonna help you in your finals. There's no Euclidean on TikTok. Euclidean is what you're struggling with. Okay, yes, there are people who explain Euclidean on TikTok, but you find that here on this app on YouTube. You find that here, you find that from your friends. You find that from where? Where else? I don't know. But really, man, if TikTok is something that you're struggling with, just uninstall it. You can, man, it's just gonna be for your, it's what, 2 months or a month actually. It's just gonna be for this month. There's this feeling, and I for one, I am someone who I'm sorry, I just keep on getting on checking my battery so that I can remove the mic and charge my phone once it's like 2%. But I was saying that I am someone who experienced both sides of having a final exam year whereby I was addicted to TikTok, and a final exam whereby I actually, what do you call this, uninstalled that app. And when I tell you, there is this feeling, yo, I can talk about this the entire day. There's this feeling that comes with reinstalling the app reinstalling the app after your final exams, and you finally get this thing of catching up on everything. That is one of the best feelings ever, because you know you are done with your exams, and it's so amazing, Wabo. And then on the other hand, this I've also experienced. That's why I've experienced both sides. And then there's also this one whereby right now you are keeping TikTok on your phone, you are keeping it throughout your final exams. And now when the final exams end, yes, you're gonna have that finally moment, but you'll even get this feeling whereby TikTok is even boring you. You're like, "Ah, what's on? I should have uninstalled this app. Now I would be catching up." and actually seeing what is there. Now, when you open TikTok after your final exams, you know everything that's there. You know all the trends, and it's like, and it's a feeling of regret, and it's very painful. So maybe if you went through this last year, please don't go through it again. It's something that you should work on, and yeah, please just don't. Yeah, if it's that app, then uninstall it just for this month and next month. And then after that, you can bring it back if you want to. But obviously, you're gonna want to. I wanted to. I made sure after my final exams, I reinstalled every single social media, and I was just up and down. I like, that feeling when you just go from one app to the other, and there's literally nothing, but you're still going through them, not in even in a thing, yeah, where I'm looking for something, but you're just going through them, and in mind you have this feeling, yeah, where I don't have to worry about anything. I don't have an exam in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So now you are someone who is doing that while you have your exams coming. So please, on that one, do the right thing. I don't even want to advise you twice. If that's something, if there's anyone here and you're someone who's struggling with that, then I really recommend that you you work on that while it's still early, because I really can't advise much on that. And so yeah, man, there's something else I wanted to talk about. I think it was procrastination, but there was something also. In the meantime, please just ask any questions. Not questions. I don't like saying ask questions, but what are you struggling with when it comes to final exams? Or rather, let's say, with regards to your final exams, if you were to write your maths paper one tomorrow, how ready are you on a scale of 1 to 10? How ready are you? That's my question to you. And me asking you that question, I want the why part of it. If you're saying no, I'm like 2% ready. Why are you not ready? That's something that you're struggling with. So yeah, just say it if it's there. And if it's not there, I don't know. I'm just gonna move on to talk about procrastination, I guess. But yeah, please guys, just ask questions. I don't like talking like this. I've been talking for 30 minutes now, and I'm tired. At least if there's something that you are specifically struggling with, I'm begging. I'm begging. So yeah, yo, my phone has been shaky. So yeah, I'm giving you guys a minute to ask your questions, and then after that, cause after more, I'm not gonna stop. I think I'm gonna keep on talking until the end of the live. But yeah, there's just a lot going on with the final exams, and ooh, okay, let's move on. Let's talk about. Let me just remove this thing. Give me a second to remove the mic because I have to charge my phone. Okay. Am I still audible? Can someone just let me know if I'm audible with a thumbs up? Just send a thumbs up in the chat. Just type a thumbs up so that I can know, because I just removed the mic. I'm not sure if you can hear me. 1 2 3 testing. Guys, then send a thumbs up. Lenyakulo manye beno, please send a thumbs up. There's like what, two people in here, and there were three people. It's one person, ibile. And they're quiet. But yeah, I'm just gonna move on, and the rest of the things that I'm gonna be talking about, the people will find in the video once it's uploaded. And because I see that most people left after, yeah, I removed the mic and all. There's one special person remaining, I think. Or two. Oh, okay, it's one. Yeah, I'm just gonna talk about procrastination, and with me talking about it, I I still stand by saying I think I've released like 3 videos on procrastination. I still stand by saying there's no solution or cure to procrastination, like you sitting and looking at your work. And there are so many things that procrastination could be that you're mistaking it for something else. You find that you sitting and you sitting and not feeling like studying, and just every single time you try to study and you just don't feel like it, that's not procrastination. That's that's you not having motivation to study, and that's a different chat. You sitting and not understanding your work and end up leaving it, that's not procrastination. That's you not understanding your work, or you using methods to study that are not appropriate for what you're studying. So before I dive into procrastination, I think let me just talk a bit on that, the whole methods of studying thing, because I feel like that's something that's very important. And most people will say that I have been studying for the past 5 hours. And if you ask me, or what did I learn in this 5 hours, bruh, my mind is like blank, or like I can't think of anything. I don't understand. I've been practicing maths for the past 5 hours and I didn't really gain anything. So it's a whole thing on what how do you practice, or the methods that you use to practice. And that's a completely different chat. Each subject has its own procedure or whatever. You've been practicing maths the same way since grade 8, and you've been getting your 50s and 60s. Mara, you still want to continue with the same method, and you're gonna tell me, Uri, I'm trying to change. I'm trying to get better marks, but I can't. I just don't understand maths. You won't understand maths because you're sticking on to that beta study method, or you're still there. So I feel like that's the first thing. If I'm to advise anyone, please, if you're struggling with a subject, if you're struggling with a subject and your brain freeze, it doesn't matter how much you try, it doesn't matter how much you continue trying, but if you're doing the wrong method, it's not gonna work. You're gonna still stay in the same place and it's not gonna change. So please try and work on that. Try and explore different methods when it comes to your studying. You, like I said, you've been studying the same way since grade 8. Since your maths in grade 8, okay, the 60, the 50, the 30. Mara, you want to continue and say, now I'm becoming a better person. I'm more serious. That's what they usually say. They're like, okay, now I'm gonna be more serious. But then they go on to use the exact same methods. I'm like, well, one. So please, if that's something that you struggle with, when it comes to studying, if you struggle with not understanding, I feel like that's the most popular sentence that people usually ask me. I just don't understand maths. I'll never understand it. It's in the method. It's definite. Why did I say this? Okay, minus the hand. It's in the method. It's in the method that you use to study, and please just reevaluate yourself. Try and explore new methods, and as time goes on, you will see that it's a very beautiful thing and you can work on that. So yeah, what's that other thing I wanted to talk about again? It's it also goes hand in hand with the methods thing, but it's more with like in preparations to these final exams. I was talking with my girlfriend about this the other day, and it's on it's on what do you do in your study sessions, and the whole process that people do of avoiding the difficult questions. You see, let me take you through someone's typical study routine in maths, ne? So what they do is that they sit down, they open a past paper because someone told them that past papers are very helpful because they help you understand the content better and everything. So they sit down, they do a past paper, And then in that past paper, they start by doing a question that they know very well or they understand very deeply. They know or this 2.1 I can do it any day. Mara, just because they know or in that paper there are certain questions that are very difficult, they try and cover that feeling with the easier questions, or in other words they say they build their motivation. So that's something I want to talk about. In your study sessions, in your med study sessions, there are people, I don't want to lie, there are people who actually put in the effort when it comes to studying. They put in the effort, they work, you know. Hello Queen B. They actually put in the effort and they work when it comes to studying maths, but the results are just not cooperating, and they're like, I did past papers like you told me, I did as many past papers as I could, but at the end of the day, Joe, what were you doing in those past papers? You can't tell me what you were doing past papers and you did a 1.1 question. Why are you doing that 1.1 quadratic equation question knowing very well or you struggle more with Euclidean? Instead of studying, when you sit down to study maths, start with that thing that you know very well or you struggle with, which is Euclidean. Go to your Euclidean and you will see that yo, I don't understand anything here. That's where the actual practice is. That's how you should be actually be putting in your practice. That's where you start when it comes to practicing. So in simple terms, all I'm trying to say is that when it comes to your practice, have focus on those difficult questions. I'm not saying neglect the easy ones, don't get me wrong. Not don't neglect the easy ones, but 80% of the time, do the difficult questions. Do the difficult questions 80% of the time. And then 20% of the time, when you are demotivated, you do. Yeah, Queen B, that's exactly what I'm trying to explain right now, especially with the finals approaching. Queen B, what my problem is I don't know how to study maths for real, for real. So like I was saying, 80% of the time you should be doing the difficult questions, and 20% of the time you what you call this thing, you do the easy questions. Because what people tend to do is that how do I explain this? They do the easy questions, like they do maybe 20 of the functions questions that they know very well, and when they get bent out and they are tired, they leave everything while they haven't done the difficult questions. So the best way to to study maths or to practice maths is to definitely do a lot of those what you call this thing, do a lot of the difficult questions. Every single past paper has those questions that you know or you struggle with. One example I can give you is the question on for what values of x will f of x be greater than 0 or whatever. That's something that most people struggle with, and they keep on avoiding it even though they know that it's going to be in the test, and yet you say you are aiming for a 95% or you are aiming for a very good mark. Mara, you've been avoiding that question. You never took time to sit down and say, right now I'm gonna be studying that question on for what values of x. So all I'm saying is that give yourself time to understand the difficult questions, or even better, when you're studying those questions, make them into topics. Score, like in a sense, there's this question in Euclidean. It says uh, uh, um prove that this is a parallelogram. There's a lot more, but that's like the easiest one that I can think. That's from grade 10. So grade 10 to 12, there's always that question on prove that it's a parallelogram. And obviously it involves analysis. It involves you analyzing the questions and getting to know the questions, the shape that you're given, whatever you need to analyze and connect whatever, proving that it's a parallelogram. But in actual fact, all the questions are exactly the same. they have like three different ways to prove those things. I remember I had this textbook once. I don't remember which one it was, but it explained it so well. I'm just gonna explain it now. It has three ways. You have three ways of proving that it's a parallelogram, and the more questions that you do, you will be able to know this thing. So now what most people do is that they do one question on proving that it's a parallelogram. You prove that it's a parallelogram, maybe you understand it. Okay, I understand the question on proving that it's a parallelogram. It comes in the exam, kilikiki. It kicks you. Actually, it doesn't kick you. You write the answer based on what you practiced. You practiced when you're confident, or yeah, I did that question on proving that it's a parallelogram. I'm confident. I write the answer, I write the answer. Kilikiti, results come back. Now, when the results come, I got a zero on that question. Out of five, I got zero on a question that I was confident or I practiced. And obviously, what happens from there, I get demotivated. And that entire feeling, yeah, maths is difficult, it's gonna come back. It's gonna come back, and vele maths is difficult now. It's not gonna come out. So, it's very important for if there is a difficult question that you come across in maths, the easiest one is the one on for what values of x. If you get one question and you get a very good explanation from someone and they explain that question to you, make sure that you do a whole lot more of those questions. Don't just say and leave it there. Leave it there. You should do like five more questions based on for what values of x. After doing that five questions and then you get it wrong in the exam, ke hona re ka re ba o lweile or something. So, but like, don't just understand a question or a concept that is new and is very difficult and just keep that idea in mind, because you're definitely gonna forget. That's one thing I can assure you. You are going to forget. And even if you don't forget, there is definitely more ways to answer that question than I can think of. There is so many ways to think that there's so many ways to solve a question most of the time, and most of the time they trick you into which way to use. Queen B says, so we mustn't think that math is difficult, we must lie to ourselves. Queen B, this is something that you will, I would say, you will only see after you are getting good at maths. Like, the fact that maths is difficult, you can only say maths is difficult if you are getting good marks in maths. You guys are working at 30, and then you're like, okay, Ofentse said I must say maths is not difficult. But you're getting 30, 32, 35%. That's not gonna happen, obviously. All I'm saying is that when you're practicing, make sure you do the questions that make you say maths is difficult. That question on for what values of x, you always get it wrong, and you know you don't know how to solve that question. You know very well, and you know that it comes in every single paper. That question on prove that it's a parallelogram, prove that AC is congruent to DE, you know that it's gonna come in Euclidean. Mara, when you see it there, you do it once, you check the memo, and you're like, oh, this is how they do it, and then you move on. It's not there, it didn't stick. It's like okay, I can't think of an example, but you're basically planting an idea in, yeah, you see a seed. What you're doing with that seed is that you're just putting it on top of the soil. You're just like, this is the soil, you're just like putting it here instead of making it go deeper into the soil. You're just putting it on top. Sometimes it works that when you water it, it still grows or something, but most of the time it won't. So all I'm saying, when it comes to maths being difficult, maths is difficult, and you will only get to the other side. Obviously, if you ask who is a genius, who is a famous genius person, I can't think of anyone from the top of my head. Obviously, if you ask someone who is a genius, maybe in your class, what do you think maths is difficult? They're gonna say, no, I enjoy maths. That's what they're gonna say. Or, and you can only relate to that person if you're also passing. So now it all comes down to how do you pass. And I'm just gonna reiterate this so many times. I'm actually gonna make a separate video for this because there's something that's very important. Do not neglect those questions that you always get wrong in the exam. Do not have that mentality, Yahore, you understand it after receiving one explanation from someone or after watching one video on on TikTok, on YouTube of like a difficult concept, and you're like, oh, this is how it works. Make sure, make very, very sure, or immediately after watching that video, you go and look for past papers that have the same question. One thing I can tell you, there are so many past papers out there. There are so many past papers. That's why if you go to every single uh, 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 um what you call this, every single YouTuber that's doing like study tips or whatever, one of the many things that they say is do as many past papers as you can, and they're not lying. They're not lying, but they never really get into the idea, hore, what do you do when you have a past paper in front of you? That's like something that is very important, and that's what most people miss. So it's very important to do past papers, obviously, and there are so many past papers to do that you can do. So I can advise you the entire day, you will do as many past papers, do as many past papers. But if you don't know how to do the past papers, I'm just blowing air on top of, I don't know, I can't think of a good example. What was I about to say? Oh, it's like those people who tell you to study hard. You know, someone who says you must study hard, you must work hard. And then, do you know how what I go through when I study? And you are here and you say study hard. How do you study hard? Tell me how to study hard. If you are a parent and you are saying to me, or you must work hard, how do I work hard? Just give me the procedure and I will do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So that is something that is it's very tricky when it comes to practicing, but I feel like the more committed you are and the more you have those smaller nyana goals, those smaller nyana goals, I'm talking about just the mere goal of saying I want to understand, fully understand that question on for what values of x. I want to make sure I understand that question. You know, I want to make sure this and this, I don't know, like those small goals that you have in a maths paper. So Lwazi, I think it's Lwazi, ne? Yeah, it's Lwazi. Like the 1.3. 1.3 for maths paper 1. 1.3. Bruh, that question, I can talk about it the entire day. Actually, let me just give you a brief overview on that question. So that question, really, you are saying it's refusing you 100%. That is the question that is meant to reduce the number of 100% that are out there. Oh, so I'm just gonna give you a brief overview on that question and just talk about it briefly. You will notice that every single time that 1.3 question, it's a different question. Every single paper, every single trial paper, it's a different question. June paper, it's a different question. Final, it's a different question. They never repeat that question. So it definitely just goes with you having, you will never, I can't even say you will ever be at a point whereby you say I am confident with the 1.3 question, because you never know what to expect. Sometimes it can be the easiest thing, it can be nature of roots. Sometimes they bring something so complex, you know, it can be anything. So one thing I can say with regards to that question is that you should, during the weekend, I advise this during the weekend, not during the week, just during the weekend, Loisy and everyone else, just have those sessions whereby you explore different past papers and write down the 1.3. Usually they're like one sentence, and there's like one sentence and maybe numbers there. Explore different past papers, look for the 1.3 questions, maybe on the first day have like 10 of them in a book. Look at the first past paper 1.3, write down that question, and next, and have like at least 10 of them. You have like 10 different 1.3 questions, and now you are gonna go through each and every one of these. And the first thing that you're gonna notice going through them, you will notice that all of them are different, right? But they all carry the maths fundamentals in a sense. Sometimes it's a thing on exponentials, simplifying exponents. Sometimes it's the, what do they call this, factorizing thing, taking out the common whatever. Sometimes it's on money. They talk about Mamang had X, they removed this. It's a wide variety of questions, and they are not the same. So doing these 10 questions, I'm not saying you are ready, but I'm just giving you an example. Or have a session dedicated to 1.3 questions. Don't sit down and say, now I'm trying to study maths. I can't even give you tips on the 1.3 questions and say, now in this question, make sure the first thing that you do is read. They are never the same. They are never the same, and chances of you getting the same question that you've seen for your final, very small. But the more the better. The as they say, some, there's a quote about familiarity or something. But the more you do them, the more you have sessions on 1.3 questions, the more confident you will feel. And as much as maybe that question that might come in your exam is something that you've never seen before, uh, 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 um there is gonna be that small maths trick. It's actually mainly about tricks, yeah. There's gonna be this, that small maths trick, that the trick that you discovered while you were doing those 10 questions. There's gonna be a trick that you found, and you're gonna use that trick, and it's gonna be helpful most of the time. So throughout doing these 1.3 questions, you are gonna discover, you're gonna learn maths. That's one thing I can say. You're gonna learn maths. Yo, did I say maths? Yo, you're gonna learn maths, mathematics. You're gonna learn maths, and you're gonna learn things that you didn't know exist in maths. Wow. So make sure you have these sessions. Make sure you have these sessions whereby you fully focus on the 1.3 questions, and it shouldn't be one session, obviously. Hello, Megan. Hello, Megan. So yeah, you missed the most part of it, Megan. You're just gonna have to like rewatch the entire video after it ends if you want most of the information. But yeah, I was just talking about the 1.3 question. And this doesn't even go for the 1.3 question only. Have a session for every single question that you know is gonna trap you every single time. You know what that question on prove in Euclidean geometry, that question on proving that it's a parallelogram, you know it's always gonna make you think hard. Have a session whereby you do 10 of those things. 10 only. Like right now, when you have time, guys, with most of you guys, I think there's like a week until you write, or 2 weeks, I'm not sure. But bruh, literally, like with most of you guys, like I said, it's a thing where you have 1 or 2 weeks. So please don't take these tips that I'm saying, don't use them when you're writing maths the next day. It won't work. So make sure this period of time when you still have the time, and now you still have time, I don't want to lie to you, you still have time to implement most of these things I'm saying. You sitting down to say, right now I'm doing 10 questions. 10, is it 10? Yeah. 10 questions on proving that it's a parallelogram. That's it. I'm not doing anything else during this 1 hour session. I'm just gonna focus on proving that it's a parallelogram. And mind you, just so you didn't know, these sessions are actually less stressful than you actually doing past papers or you practicing maths. They are less stressful because you know every single time you have the same question, and all you need to do is some analysis. So it's basically you training your Euclidean muscle. You're just training it, you're training it more, and it's very nice. It's less stressful. That's one thing I can recommend. It's less stressful than you sitting down to practice maths and doing maybe a full past paper or something. it's definitely helpful. So try and implement that while now, while there's still time. Now while you still have time, try and have those 1 hour sessions whereby you focus on a question, in a question. Not even like, I'm not saying focus on Euclidean geometry. I'm saying focus on the question that says prove that this is a parallelogram. Focus on that question that says prove that AB is congruent to CD. Focus on that question that says for what values of X is this increasing or whatever. Have those sessions, and the more you have those, you will enjoy your maths, and over time those things accumulate again. And now you're gonna get to a point whereby uh, 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 um you're gonna get to a point whereby the more you do these things, you start enjoying. And when someone comes to you and they're like, yo, I'm stressed about forward values of X, and you're gonna be that person to say, listen to me, I found a trick. That's also another thing. You're gonna develop tricks the more you do these questions. Well, wonder if you come here, or actually if you go and do 10 questions on forward values of X using whatever explanation from wherever, and you come here and say, I still don't understand, I don't know, send me a message, I'll send you your 1000 or whatever. That is something that is going to help you when it comes to solving specific questions. So don't sit down to say I'm doing Euclidean geometry, but I'm sitting down to do the question that says for what values of X. Actually, I do better if I start like 2 weeks before. I got my first 80. That's what Queen B says. Bruh, one thing I can say about the whole process of like people saying I do better the day before. I study best under pressure. I work best under pressure. That is something I want to talk about. With me, for example, in grade 12, every single, I'm gonna make an example though. I used to do it for life science and maths. Every single life science test that I wrote, I always studied the day before, and I always got my 80, my 90. And and it was nice. And I used to think, Hore, I am a type of person who studies best under pressure. But the more you do those 1 day sessions, ne, the more you do those 1 day sessions, trust me, 1 day is never enough. 1 day is never enough because even now, ne, in uni, I have tried it. I haven't tried studying 1 day before, but like I've tried maybe like, I think it was 3 days before. The first day I was like, I still have time. The second day I'm left with that day and the next day. Then that day I'm writing. The second day I do a bit, yeah, and I'm like, I'll do the rest tomorrow. On that day, bruh, while I was studying, obviously I got this what you call this thing? I got this feeling, yeah, hore. Imagine if I had stretched this thing over like 2 weeks or something. And the first excuse that most people say, Barry, I'm gonna forget the information that I study. You are not gonna forget if you repeat. That is the whole point behind effective studying, repetition. So now when you're studying the day before, you will never get a chance to repeat the things that you're studying. You study them once, you move to a different topic. You study them once, you move on. That's something that's not gonna work for you. So guys, I really recommend starting now. You are not gonna forget. For example, if you do your maths now, if you do that question on proving that it's a parallelogram, if you do them tonight, it's a Tuesday, maybe on Friday you come back, you do two more again. You're gonna revive them from your memory. Now they're back. You do two more. Now it's gonna feel nice because you already have an understanding. Maybe it's angana spaced repetition. I think that's the correct term. I think they call it spaced repetition. So now when you still have time, guys, do not convince yourself who you're gonna forget. You are not gonna forget if you actually repeat. So let me just read the few comments. I disappointed myself last time. I got my lowest mark of the year. It was 90%. Was it maths? Was it maths? Because ish, yeah, I understand you. I understand you when it comes to the lowest mark. But you know what? I Megan, this thing, man, it just comes, it's like I said, it's an individual thing. And your lowest mark is someone's highest mark for the first time, you know. So it's like, bruh, I'm just gonna look at the things that I did last time, and I'm gonna make sure that I don't do those things again. Those smaller mistakes that you made, do not make sure that you don't repeat them, just so you don't make the same mistake. Lazi says, I agree with you with what you're saying. I got 98%. Yo, bruh, that is wild for you losing the 2 marks on, I mean, the 2% on 1.3. It's crazy. And 1.3 is that one question that'll make you think. Like with the rest of the paper, you're just gonna flow. If they say give the 12th term of the sequence, you know what to do. With the 1.3, that question will make you think like nobody's business. So definitely, Loisy, one thing I recommend, man, try and do as many questions of those as possible. And when you do them, make sure you do them alone. Do not factor in some Euclidean there while you're doing them. Do not put in anything else. Make sure that session you are mainly trying to improve yourself in the 1.3 questions, because you will realize so many tricks in maths that you can utilize. And I can't even give you those tricks. Even if I could, it's better for you to learn on your own than me explaining them. It's better for you to experience that feeling of understanding. You understood Euclidean on your own. You understood uh, trigonometry. You understood it on your own. So now I can't be the person to say you must make sure you look out for this. You are supposed to be the person to learn basically and realize your mistakes, learn those tips and tricks on your own, and maybe you'll be the someone to advise someone else on such things. So yeah, man, just definitely have more of those sessions. Kunbi says, I'm trying to study maths, but it's fighting me. Yo, bruh, study motivation. Hey, that thing, I feel like that thing doesn't stop, Queen B. It affects everyone. And even with me, I still struggle with having motivation to just sit down to study. I remember this other day, I was at the library. I entered the library at 10 o'clock. Yeah, I entered. It was an overnight thing. Ne. I entered the library at 10. I'm sitting down. I am doing my coding. I'm practicing computer science. Right. There's a guy there by the corner. That guy enters. I When I got there, I found that guy there, which makes it worse. So I found that guy at the library. I sit down to study. I do computer science. I practice some problems. After 2 hours, I'm tired. I take a break. That guy is still there. He's standing. He's still sitting. That guy is studying. I come back. Maybe I went to the bathroom. I came back. That guy's still there. I do most like. Okay, I can't even complete the story, but all I'm saying, just to summarize, that guy was sitting there the entire night until 6 a.m. Like from 10 to 6 when I was in the library. That guy never stood up and he was just studying. I was like, give me your jeans, bruh. Give me your jeans. I think in that 8 hours, I think I only studied for 4 or 5. Most of the time I was sleepy, I was procrastinating, I was on my phone or something. That guy studied for 8 hours straight without standing up or going to the bathroom or anything. I'm like, damn. I'm like, yo, bruh, some people are powerful when it comes to studying, and they just, yo, bruh, they just work. And with motivation, man, I like there's really much there isn't much I can tell you on that one. Like there isn't much. I feel like it's more of a thing, Yahori, trying different methods. One thing that can help you, Queen B. Was it Queen B? Oh yeah, it is Queen B. One thing that can help you is just finding someone or finding people, dog. I feel like that's something that helped me this year. I'm just gonna continue. Let me read Lazi's comment. I think it's something similar. Lazi says the thing is now I can't focus more on maths because my languages are giving me a problem. Okay, that's something else. I was talking on motivation. One thing that can help you, man, be the bigger person and ask someone to study with you. Like, yo, I can't emphasize, Joe. Like, studying and just going through a concept with someone else is so amazing. There was this thing that I actually once did with some people, and um we were what we did is that we agreed, or okay, today we're gonna be looking at this specific topic in it was computer science. We're gonna be looking at this topic in comp sci. We're gonna be doing questions. In that topic, I was very blank and I was so demotivated to study it, right? So me agreeing with those people to say we're gonna focus on this topic. Obviously, I don't wanna go in there having nothing while everyone else is talking about the topic and I'm blank. So it gave me this motivation to just start studying that topic to make sure then now when I get to that session, that group study session, I have something in mind. Not where you go there blank. So those are some of the perks that come with studying in groups. You don't it doesn't have to be a group like that, but you can have a close friend and you ask that close friend and you say let's recruit two more people, maybe after school or something, or if you maybe you live close to each other, like nearby houses, whatever, meet for a session. It's and you discuss beforehand, or what are you guys gonna be doing. Like, it's one of the best things ever when you guys meet and you do past papers. If you're someone who struggles with motivation and you have tried everything, I think that's like that should be your last resort, because I feel like that is something that will always work. Like, unless if your study session very is not productive, like the people that you study with, that's the only problem that you might face. But other than that, it's something that actually works, especially if you can decide to be the person who controls everything and manage the study group or whatever, or just try that one. You have to be the bigger person. No one is gonna come to you and say, Queen B, let's form a study group and study together. So you should be that person to shock them and say, let's form a study group, and they're like, what? I never expected that from you. They will be shocked, but they're gonna agree. Trust me, no one is ever gonna say no, I am okay. Like, everyone is just dying on their own. Every single person in your class is dying, they just won't say it. Or there's something that they're struggling with, but they can't stand in front of the class and say, I'm struggling with Euclidean geometry. They'll keep it to themselves. So you just be that bigger therapist, person, friend, or to just say, guys, let's study together. But it takes some guts, Mara. Just do it. Just do it. And yeah, I feel like I'm also gonna make a separate video on this because it's something that's very important. And most people just don't do it, and they're like, what if it doesn't work? Or they're like, the people that are around me, they're not serious. Make them serious, Joe. Like, that's something that also comes with the study sessions. You get to be the controller and you motivate those people, or guys, this is our final exams, let us be serious. They can be serious, those people that you see every day and you think they're not serious about their studies, they want to, just that they struggle so much and they can't talk to anyone about it. That's also another thing. So just create that, man. Like, just try and get 3 or 4 people with me. Like, my most recent one, it was for maths. Yo, I actually didn't expect such a turnout. I think like 20 people. Like, I posted on the, I guess there's like the main maths group. So I sent a message on that main maths group. I'm like, guys, I'm studying this study group. Wow, wow. And then like 20 people texted me. They're like, I'm in. Now I was expecting like 5 people. And now some of those people, even when they text me, they're like, bruh, I'm in. I've also been struggling to just study alone, man. Every single time I try to study, I sleep. like they just now you realize, wow, people are actually struggling. So please, man, if you get a chance, just pick up that what is it called, that courage, severity, have that lever to just go to those people, one or two people, and say, guys, let's come together and work together. And you are gonna make those people work because you called this meeting. So don't call the study group and then now you are also being like, maths is difficult. You are the one who's supposed to convince those people who it's possible to pass maths even though you are also failing. So that's also some of the things. You have to be the manager of everything and stuff. So let me get to Laziz's question. Maybe I'm just gonna come back to the lack of motivation thing once I start talking about this. I finished talking about this rather. So Lazi said the thing is now I can focus more on maths because my languages are giving me a problem. Okay, I'm what I'm gonna do right now. I'm gonna talk about the languages, but then what you are saying about uh, um, um I can't focus more on maths because my languages are giving me a problem. Definitely do not, what's going on here? Do not instill that motivation inside of you, Hore. You can't focus more on maths. There was this theory, there's a book there. You see that book there, those like four books. There's a theory in that book that I wrote uh, uh, um about balance, right? It's a thing of balance. I'm just gonna go through the background first and then I'm gonna talk about what you're saying about how you're struggling with languages and maths at the same time. Usually when you ask someone or when you get to matric actually, or even when you get to university, one thing they will say is that balance your social life and your academics and your books, right? That is something that is never gonna work. Do not ever think about balance in your entire life. Do not ever say, I can't focus more on this because I am struggling with this. Do not try to balance your studies, whatever you're studying, because it's a thing, Yahore. If you try and focus on the languages more, like you're saying, your math is gonna die even more, like how it is now. So give me a second. I don't know what's going on with this thing. Ish. But yeah, it's fine. Your math is gonna die more than it's already dying now. So do not put instill that thing inside of you, or you need to focus on your languages, because if you focus on the languages, you see how maths now is like 60%, your languages are like 20%, and you can see your languages are low, so you can't focus on maths. That's what you're saying. If you try and focus on understanding your languages, these things, you see how this one is here, this one is here, these things are gonna do this one is gonna go up a bit, this one is gonna come down. They are gonna come down to a lower level, both of them. So Lazi, have, is it Lazi? Yeah, I think it was Lazi. Have a thing whereby you I'm not saying neglect your languages, ne, but use your motivation from you understanding maths. And once you have maybe like you, what you can do, the easiest or the quickest advice I can give you is that you just had a math session, a 1 hour math session. Then after that math session, you have like you have like 2 hours on your languages. Because let me tell you, what most people will do in that situation is that they would put all their, let's say you have 3 hours, they will put all their 3 hours into the languages in the name of, I need to focus more on the languages. But rather, make sure you develop a thing of using whatever strength you have, use it to increase the weakness. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, I think that's like the theory I developed. It works sometimes, but it hasn't been widely recognized. But make sure you implement that thing. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but if it doesn't, just let me know, and I'll give you more specific tips when it comes to your languages. But all I'm saying is that do not let do not let what you already want to improve in maths to die in the name of worry. You want to improve your, what you call this thing, you want to improve, what do you improve, you want to improve your languages. So do not let the maths die because you want to improve that one, because trust me, the more effort you put into the languages, your maths is gonna go even lower, even though you've been trying to, like, it's something that maybe you're like, for example, Lozi, the only thing that you're struggling with in maths is the 1.3 question. Most of the things you are confident in. So we can't even say you are putting focus in maths. Like, for example, you can have a 1 hour session on on what you call this thing, on maths, and you do those 1.3 questions. After that hour, you put ultimate focus on the languages. So it's a thing you already start first with what you have confidence in, and then after that, go to something that you're struggling with. Or it can be the other way around. If you feel like you want to focus that much on languages, you can. But my advice is that usually, once you start focusing on the thing that you are lacking in, the entire ship is gonna collapse, in a sense that now the maths is also gonna go down, and it's gonna demotivate you. Now I should have done this in maths, but now in your languages, now you're also, like I said, I made that example where it's like 30%, this is 70%, this is your maths, it's on 70%, your languages are on 30%. You are never gonna be able to get your languages to 70% if you try and do what you're saying. What is gonna happen is that your maths is gonna come down to 50, your languages are also only gonna come up to 50. They are never gonna both do this. So what you should do rather is, if this is on 70, take it to 80, take this to 50, take this to 90, take this to 70. And mind you, the more you do this, this will be easier to take up if you feel more confident in your maths. So the more confident you feel in your strength, the stronger your weakness will be. Yo, but I'm cooking. Yo, that was deep. But, oh, sorry. But yeah, that's uh, essentially the essence in like what I was trying to explain in terms of the balance thing. You just make sure you don't neglect your maths because that one is sinking. Start with that one and go to the sinking one. It's a thing. Yeah, I remember there was this thing that I'm not sure if it was my teacher or one of the learners in grade 12. They were like, oh yeah, it was actually a learner. I don't know where they heard it. They were like, if you start passing maths, you will also start passing physics. That's something that they once said, and it's almost in relation to this thing. They were like, if you start getting more higher marks in maths, your physics will also become better. And it's almost something similar, in a sense that how do I put this thing, in a sense that you were focusing on improving the maths, your physics was like low value, but then the fact that you were focusing on improving the physics, for some reason this one is just improving on its own, not really on its own, you are practicing, but the practice sessions are more and more productive and more effective. You get what I'm saying? So do not neglect something else in the name of something else. Bobo. So I don't know if you guys have any more questions before. I think the live is gonna end at 10. So if you guys have any more questions or something that you're struggling with, just say it now, because I think I'm just gonna talk about the last point, and then after the last point I'm gonna end the live or something like that. So yeah, if there's anything that you're struggling with or that you've been struggling with and you see, or yo, if I don't fix this before my finals, I'm gonna be cooked. Well, so just type that thing out, and yeah, let's just talk, man. If you if you feel like it's something that's a problem, Or if you feel like it's deeper than that, you can send me an email. Yo, ish, sorry. Guys, please ask your questions. I'm dying, Evil. I'm dying for your questions. So yeah, if there's anything that you're struggling with, please say it now or forever hold your peace. With people like Loazi, only Loazi will let over 1.3 question is literally the only thing that's stopping me from getting 100. That's like someone who's like sorted because once they get that 1.3, they are in. Or so those problems, and don't don't be ashamed or whatever comparing yourself to someone else, or you that person is like already in the 100% whatever. With you, if you're struggling from the bottom, just say, or I'm struggling from the bottom with this. No one knows anyone here. But in Ghana, what do they say? What do they say when they say it? It's a what space? It's a conducive, but it's a small space. No, they say something, man, when they want you to talk. I forgot what they say. But I know the bar it's a space, or it's a space free. It's a free space. I totally forgot. I don't wanna lie. But there's something that they say about it being a space something. So this is the space. If there's you are here because you need something. So if maybe there's actually something that Bargain made you click the video, then yeah, just go with it, guys. So yeah, ask your questions. If not, then I'm just gonna move on to the last point. I think my last point was on just the entire final exams in general. Like these remaining, like I said, most people are studying next week. Are starting next week if I'm not mistaken. Most people are starting next week. Some are starting like after 2 weeks. With me, my first exam is only like 3 weeks. Sorry, it's only like 3 weeks. So if you're that person, I'm just gonna talk about the final exams because you guys don't seem like you have questions. And I think you guys do. You just don't want to say them. Marafe, it's fine. We're moving on. With regards to the final exams in general, guys, this is not your first final exam. What's that thing? Oxymoron. It's not your first final exam. You've written your final exams before. You've gotten your 60s, you've gotten your 50s, your 70s. There are some lessons that you have learned throughout the year when it comes to studying, or if not, maybe you've been struggling with maths the entire year. It can still change. Like, I can't emphasize my point on there is still time. Like, there's a reason why I made this video today. I don't even think I'm gonna make a live video the day before your exam because there's pretty much nothing I can tell you. Most of the things I have for you, I can say them now. Like it's things that, why is my background like this? I wanna know. Oh, it's because my light is off. Ah, it's fine as long as you can hear my voice. The quality of the video doesn't matter. As long as you can hear my voice. I was saying that, ah, I have very short-term memory. What was I saying? But I was talking about your final exams. Hore, hore, yo. Guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was saying. Give me 3 seconds to think. I remember saying, these are not your first final exams. You've been writing final exams. And then that, what? And then after that, what? I think I said, okay, it's fine. I'm skipping that point. But yeah, essentially, it's just me overall saying what I want to say about the. Oh, I was saying these are not your first final exams, and I'm never gonna be at a point whereby I'm gonna give you guys advice the day before, because I have nothing to say to you the day before. Most of my advice is in this video and in the video that's gonna come out this weekend. So this weekend there's gonna be a video on the final exams in general, and that will be it from me. I am never gonna talk about final exams. How do I put this? There are people. Okay, let me not even say there are people because that sounds rude. But there's this thing of people asking you like the day before, and they're like, "I'm writing maths tomorrow. Please give me tips." And I'm like, "Give you tips? You're writing maths tomorrow." Emuna, whatever I say to you from this moment onwards is not even gonna, like, most of the work is done. If you have not been practicing, I can't even tell you to practice when you are writing the next day. So it's the thing, yeah, make sure you realize, or right now you still have time, guys. Please do not wait until the last minute in the name of I study best under pressure. Barring I work well under pressure. Please do not wait for that thing. There is no such thing. And if you use this time and you apply your spaced repetition, trust me, you're gonna have one of the most productive you're gonna have one of the most productive sessions and best exams ever. Do not fool yourself ka taba ya hore you work well under pressure. You do not work well under pressure. You work very little under pressure. I'm trying to come up with a quote about working well under pressure, and I'm cooking it. By the end of this week, it will be there. So please do not wait for the last minute. Yes, in the last minute you're gonna feel productive. You're gonna work in the last minute because vele you are on a choice. You are writing tomorrow. There's no way you can't practice. But imagine if that practice from the last minute you brought it now. You brought it now, and you did it. You did a bit of everything each day. Don't you think it would have been better? Like I said, there are tons of past papers out there, and when we say do a lot of past papers, we mean do a lot of past papers. It's something that is actually genuine. Marawena, you want to do a lot of past papers the day before your exam, which is like, brother, what's that? One sort. So please just make sure you start preparing. If you haven't started, this video should be your sign to start preparing. And if you don't have motivation to start with something that you're confident about, and then you can do one question on what you call this thing. What's that thing? Number patterns. There is number patterns, yeah. Do one question on number patterns because you know very well, or you understand that thing. After that number patterns thing, go to a different topic that you struggle with. And like I said, I'm just quickly gonna reference what I said at the beginning about you doing you having those sessions on a specific question. Remember, the rule is 10. The rule is 10. Write them down. I think it's easier that way, instead of you opening a past paper, doing the question, and then opening another one, doing it. That takes more time. So take 5 minutes to just go different past papers, select out those small questions, write them down. If it's the question on proving that it's a parallelogram, that one is a bit more tricky because you're gonna have to draw the circles and everything, but it's still the same concept. Write down those questions or screenshot them. Yeah, actually, if they're on your phone, the past paper, screenshot the question from each paper. 2018 September Limpopo, 2019 final, 2021 Mpumalanga June, 2023 November final. Like a wide variety. Go through sorry, go through all those different papers and compile those things, those specific questions. For example, the question on proving that it's a parallelogram. Sit down to look at that shape and do that question. Look at that shape and do that question. And okay, just a side note also, you have seen what happens most of the time is that you get the ones before the questions on top of the proof that it's a parallelogram, you get them correct. So just take maybe a minute to think of the answer in your mind and how to do it. Then you check the memo. Okay, I'm right. The next question you check it. It's the same thing with functions. So just have a rough draft of the answer. You don't have to write them down because now you're wasting time. So just have a rough draft of that 3.1. You don't have to write down 3.1, guys. Come on. Have a rough draft in your head, and if it's correct, you check the memo, you move on. Now you get to the forward values of x. That's where the thinking starts. Now you know you are having a session on that question. You move on, you do the same thing, you do the same thing. Like, if not 10, then 5. Please do not do less than 5. Just make sure you do as many as you can. And you do this for every single topic, not even topic, but question inside of a topic. You do this for every single one of them, and you will see that you will enjoy your studying. You will enjoy your studying, and it will be quite nice to actually know that right now I can actually solve that question on for what values of x. I know how to prove that this thing is a parallelogram. I know how to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle CDE or something. You know those questions yourself. That's why, Gary, this studying process is very unique to everyone. It's something that you need to analyze yourself, and you know what you struggle with. We are now in October. You've written multiple assessments. You've written those tests. Take those papers. If you threw them away because they were embarrassing, that's tough, because you're gonna need them in order to know yourself. If you are not sure what you struggle with, you're gonna need those papers that you've written already. You're gonna need them in order to be able to see what have I actually been struggling with. And the first question that you see from maybe a paper that you wrote in March, you know that this is what my first session is gonna be on. The first question that I saw was like on what, for example, trigonometry, what is it? Simply proving that left hand side equal to right hand side. I got that wrong, but I'm confident with the concept. You are not confident if you got it wrong. So have a session of 5 questions on trigonometry, proving identities. Do 5 of them in a row. Obviously, throughout this process, I don't talk about this like the part whereby you feel demotivated after getting most of them wrong. But now, if you are getting demotivated because you keep getting them wrong, where are you gonna get the confidence to get them right in the exam? Well, one. So after getting the first one wrong and you get demotivated, what's one? It's not gonna work, because now you need to come back. Make sure you come back and look at why you got it wrong. The reason that you got it wrong, write it down. And then you do the second question. When you do the second question, you have that concept, Yahori. There's the reason that you got the first one wrong. You have it in mind. When you do the second one, you make sure, don't make this mistake. Don't make this mistake. You don't make that mistake. Now another mistake pops up. You also take that mistake, you store it also in your head. You move on to the next one. Now you have 2 mistakes. You are keeping them in mind. When you do the third one, uh okay, there's another mistake. One, I'm tired. You take that third mistake, you also store it. With most of the time with maths, I don't talk about this much because it's something I want people to figure out on their own. With most questions, there's usually 3 ways. Usually it's three. There's 3 ways to solve a question. There's 3 ways to answer a question. I think that's the only sentence. Yeah, there's 3 ways to answer a question most of the time. And there are 3 types of difficult questions. So just make sure, or you that's why I usually advise 5. If not 5, if you are tired after the 5, you can take your rest. Mara, if you are still feeling powered after that 5, make sure your next target is 10. So the first thing is that you're gonna feel, you get the first one wrong, second one wrong, third one wrong. From these first 3 that you got wrong, make sure you wrap your head around the reasons you got them wrong, because the fourth one, you're gonna need to make sure each of these mistakes you don't repeat them. You don't repeat that mistake, you don't repeat that mistake. You get the fourth one correct. The fifth one, you also get it correct because now you are more confident. Guys, do you get what I'm saying, Mara? I think you guys can visualize this thing, because it's a thing, Yahore. as much as I can talk about it, I'm not just talking about something that is not realistic or inapplicable to real life or something. I'm talking about something that works and something that you can apply to your studying. So make sure you go through something like this. And one last thing is that you should make sure most of the advice that I've said here is the things that you should make sure you implement now. Now, not the day before your exam and you try doing 10 questions. O tlo pallwa, and then you're gonna cry about how maths is difficult. There is so much to do. Make sure you have by now, you should be having something like, let me just check, give me a second. But you should be having a list. You should be having something like this. Okay, that's not very visible. But what you're looking at here is just a list of all the different topics that I have to cover in computer science, right? And I have broken them down. For example, this one is like one topic, but inside of that topic, there's like types of questions. So just make sure you have something like this, whereby you have outlined all the different topics and all the difficult questions they might ask you. Well, this is something that you should be having for every single subject. You, I'm so black. Damn, but it's fine. But what do they say about black? Black is power, whatever. Yeah. As I was saying, make sure you have something like this for every single one of your subjects. Make sure you have this. And when you have this thing, you're gonna go through a process whereby you take every single time. So now maybe I did this one, I go through it, I cancel it out, I go through the next one, and so on and so on. Maybe when I reach like halfway, I go back to the beginning. I do maybe one question on this, one question on this, one question on each of these, just to make sure I'm confident in this first part. Because now if you are in a process whereby you're doing everything the day before, chances are you are gonna finish this thing, but you're only going to do it once. You're not gonna repeat. Or you're going to like do the first question, man, cover the first topic, move on, second topic, third topic, and then you're never gonna get a chance to come back and revisit them, which is something that's very important in the learning process. In the learning process, you need to do a lot of repetition. So I think that's like the last thing I wanted to say, Hori. Remove the misconception or the idea that you have, yeah, or you study best or you work well under pressure. No one works well under pressure. You work under pressure. You don't work well. You work under pressure because you have to. Our choice. So now, while you still have the time, make sure you utilize it very well. Like I already talked about it. If you don't have motivation, gather people. You're not the only one who's serious about final exams. Other people are also trying to be serious. Just that conditions are not conditioning. So just make sure if you can't alone, gather those people. If maybe I don't know, but my last resort, obviously before you get to the point whereby you've tried all the different methods. When you don't have motivation, that's when you can get to the creating the study group. But if you feel like it's something that you need, or even worse, sometimes you might feel that you don't need it, but once you create it, you will feel there can be so much productivity in that thing. And like I said, it's something that is gonna help you to become help motivate you to study something before you meet with those people. If we say today we're doing trigonometry, obviously you have to prepare for that trigonometry, or else you're gonna get in that session and other people are gonna be talking when you're just gonna be sitting there. Your mind is blank. All the ideas are just going over your head, and you're just like, imagine if I had studied this thing. So just try, maybe become the bigger person, create a study group with people, 3 or 4 people or 5. It doesn't have to be a lot. You are gonna be the manager or facilitator or the mediator in the entire thing. So make sure you are also ready for that. That's also another leadership skill that it's gonna develop. So make sure you're ready for something like that. If all fails, I really recommend you studying a study group. And yeah, it's 10 o'clock now. I think I'm gonna end the live. I've said a mouthful. If there's anything that I forgot, it's probably gonna be there in the video from this weekend. I think this weekend is supposed to be like two videos actually. It's the video on preparing for finals, and then there's the vlog or whatever. So yeah, that's about it from me. And I wish you I wish you guys a very productive study thingy. Yeah, I wish you guys a very productive thing, and don't wait for the last minute. And even if you are to watch this after it's uploaded or after the live ended, you can still comment your questions and I'll answer them and stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and goodbye. How do you even turn off this thing?